Part 12. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 111. Haha, people who used to talk about Guyao's alchemists for spiritual root qualifications are now slapped in the face, and even if Guyao's alchemy talent is high, he will be dragged back by the spiritual root qualification. Say these words: what is the cultivation level of the person who is now? Senior brother Qi is also very good. Senior brother Qi built the foundation early. I heard that when the foundation was built, it was not even used to build the foundation. Brother Qi might be a genius of Shanlingan, which is really enviable. But a genius like senior brother Qi also chooses to stay with alchemist Guyao, which means that alchemist Guyao is better. The speaker was clearly a fan of Guyao, and stood on Guyao's side without any principle. Actually, Tian Firong and Wei Zhenfei next to alchemist Guyao are also very good. Their cultivation speed has also pulled us down a lot. No wonder so many people want to get close to alchemist Guyao. It is estimated that now the alchemist Guyao let out rumors that he wanted to accept his followers, and there are a lot of people rushing to get on. That's why it's no exaggeration to say that alchemist Guyao is the first among the young alchemists. That is, the two apprentices of Master Hugu used to be inferior to Master Guyao, not to mention that these two are now useless, not to mention alchemy, even cultivation is a problem. I really didn't expect that Qian Valley would appear. This kind of thing, these two are too unlucky. That's right, it turned out to be a good and splendid future, but who would have thought that it would die in the middle? But alchemist Guyao respects Hugu very much, we should not mention this matter. As soon as Guyao left the customs, he heard a lot of people talking about the Qian Valley. The two apprentices of Huguzi had an accident and became useless. Guyao was astonished to hear it. Was it really just bad luck, and encountered an accident? Guyao ran to the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce, and happened to meet Lu Qiuzheng, who had just returned from outside, and was also relying on his senior brother Zhang Yan. Just like Zhang Yan's tail, wherever Zhang Yan went, he followed. Junior brother Gu, you're here, those spirit grasses have run out again? Just tell me how much you need, don't bother. Senior brother Lu Qiuzheng saw Guyao come in, and sat there lazily waving at Guyao, while Guyao saw that Zhou was driven to the side, and he was doing cool errands without saying a word. Anyway, with this guy Lu Qiuzheng, he would never think about having an birthday. No, Guyao said with a smile, I'm here to inquire about Qian Valley. I think the information here is the most comprehensive. Before Lu Qiuzheng could answer, Zhou got excited, and immediately leaned over and said, I know, alchemist Gu, I'll tell you. If you have anything to do with you, go get busy with your business. Lu Qiuzheng drove people away. Good, just let Zhou stay. When you go out next time, bring Zhou to the calendar and train at Zhang Yan patted Lu Qiuzheng on the head. The latter immediately obeyed, and reluctantly followed his brother's suggestion, to keep Zhou, but Zhou's scalp is numb, so he went out with Lu Qiuzheng to practice. Is senior brother Zhang really good for him? He wanted to cry without tears and thought, does he still have a chance to come back alive? Zhang Yan comforted Lu Qiuzheng, then turned to greet Shang Guyao. Without Zhou speaking, Zhang Yan told Guyao about the change in Qian Valley. Sangshuo, the eldest disciple of Huguzi, learned that an extremely rare treasure of heaven and earth appeared in a dangerous place. Sangshuo did not worry about others, and the treasure of heaven and earth must be used as soon as it was picked, otherwise the medicinal properties would be lost. So he went in person. Qian Gu also arranged a lot of people to protect him, but I didn't expect that Sangshuo was attacked by a monster at the juncture of the fight, and when he brought it back to Qian Gu, he found that his dantian was broken, not to mention practice alchemy. Now, even the original cultivation can no longer be maintained, and the spiritual power keeps leaking out, and sooner or later, he will become an ordinary mortal. Coincidentally, not long after Sangshuo's accident, Wan Saiking, the second disciple of Huguzi, accidentally blew up the furnace when he was alchemy? If so, the situation is not necessarily much better than Sangshuo. This situation has spread all over the world, and everyone is saying that Huguzu is unlucky, and the 2 apprentices he accepted have accidents one after another, but there are still many people who want to send their own children to Qian Valley and bow down to the main door of Hugu. This. Gu Yao looked stunned. It's really unfortunate. Of course, these 2 kinds of injuries can be cured, but for the monks, especially the monks in the Tianlin continent, the meager hope brings more despair. 8 rank pill, not to mention, Tianlin continent may not be able to gather those spiritual materials. Even if they can get it together, are Kui Yang and the forces behind them willing to pay such a big price for them? Zhang Yan also sympathized with infinite sympathy. Yeah, it's too unfortunate, if only one is repaid, but both have suffered such irreparable injuries. Huguzu has cultivated them for so many years, but I didn't expect them to be destroyed in one fell swoop. Gu Yao couldn't suppress it. He suppressed the strange emotions in his heart, and left after inquiring about the news. Zhang Yan looked at Gu Yao's hurried back with a thoughtful look on his face. Junior brother Gu Yao thought that the changes in Qian Valley were abnormal. If it wasn't an accident, someone deliberately targeted those 2 apprentices and wanted to destroy them. Who started it? Is it for Huguzu or Sei? The next thought made Zhang Yan dare not think about it. If it is the latter case, I don't know what bottom line these 2 have touched on Huguzu, and what kind of person Huguzu is like. As long as everyone who has come into contact with him knows it, he can be called a good person. As soon as Gu Yao returned to the yard, he saw Tian Firong and Little Fatty come out. Now they are both on the 7th floor of Qi refining, high-level Qi refining monks, but Little Fatty is a little bit reluctant. What did Tian Firong tell him? He was dazed, obviously not listening to what the other party was saying. What's the matter with you? Tian Firong looked at the little fat man curiously. Usually, he seemed to be heartless, but from time to time something would happen, which made people confused. The little fat man snapped his fingers. Some things can't be figured out. Oh, you don't understand, Gu Yao is back, I have something to do with Gu Yao. The little fat man lost Tian Firong and ran away. Tian Firong, who stayed where he was, could only grind his teeth. He really didn't know good people. What did he mean when he told him he didn't understand? Bullshit. Gu Yao. The little fat man looked at Gu Yao without saying a word. Gu Yao shook his head helplessly and said, "Come with me." After entering Gu Yao's room, Gu Yao poured 2 cups of tea, 1 cup was delivered to the little fat man, and continued the previous topic. Are you worried about Kui Yangu? The situation? I just went to the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce and asked senior brother Shijiang to know some things. Gu Yao will tell the truth from the news he heard from Zhang Yan. Outsiders seem to say that those 2 are unlucky, but no matter how I look at it, I feel a little weird. Little fat man, don't you really want to go back and have a look? If it weren't for our Tianfu College being a little far away from Qian Valley, we might be able to find out more and help you judge. Actually, there is one thing I didn't tell you. When Huguzu came to our academy, after I talked with Huguzu about the alchemy technique, I mentioned more about the situation of Hu Shaoguzu. Even if I didn't know you, I feel that the rumors about Hu Shaogu are mostly exaggerated, so maybe, Huguzu took it to heart and went back to investigate. Little Fatty didn't expect that there would be such a section, so he stood up abruptly, but sat back again. After a few tossing about it, he couldn't make up his mind whether to go back and have a look. In fact, after hearing that the 2 were abandoned, the little fat man was very happy. When he was in the valley, he was a waste in the eyes of others. Now these 2 geniuses have become even worse than him. I really want to go back. Look at their faces now. But he still doesn't like the atmosphere of Qian Valley. As long as he is in Qian Valley, he can't change his identity as the master of the Young Valley. Those disciples and elders always look at him with critical and disgusting eyes, but in Tianfu Academy the past 2 years have been the most relaxed 2 years for him. No one knows his identity, and no one looks at him with special eyes. He is extremely comfortable and relaxed, and thanks to Guyao, his cultivation level has even risen. Soon. If he stayed in Qian Valley, all of this would be impossible. Little Fatty was very clear about this, and now he even has a much calmer mind. The little fat man also hoped that his grandfather would find out the truth for himself and punish the two for his own sake, but he was afraid that he thought too much, but there was a lot of hope in his heart. He thought about it and said, "Actually, there is a way. See, if it was my grandfather, you know why I left Qian Valley in the first place, it was because of a woman who was sued by the family behind her to my grandfather, and the elders of Qian Valley both secretly and secretly. I felt that my conduct was bad, so my grandfather punished me. At that time, he didn't defend at all, because he knew that even if he said it, no one would believe him, including his grandfather. They all believed that he was such a wicked person, and it was also because this incident deepened his desire to leave Qian Valley idea. If grandfather believed him, he should have investigated this matter, so just check the woman's condition, which made the little fat man's heart beat faster. Guyao agreed with Dei, "Yes, we have to check it out, otherwise nothing in that family will be passed on to us. After all, it is not comparable to the identities of the two disciples of Huguzi. Those two people, if they are not Huguzi personal disciples, will not spread the word, and other insignificant little people will not be paid attention to. You can check this matter yourself, whatever you need to use, you can say anything, and Huguzi will guide me without any secrets. I also hope to do something for Master Hugu." The little fat man blinked and turned his head to cover the heat in his eyes. Guyao didn't need to explain it so much. If it wasn't for himself, why would Guyao say those words in front of his grandfather? He was so lucky to leave. "When I was in Qian Valley, I met Guyao and his party. It's just strange, why did it take so long to cook?" Guyao said strangely. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 112. Little Fatty didn't want to understand. After his grandfather left Tianfu College, he had watched for a while, but there was no abnormal news in the Qian Valley, so he turned around and put it away, but he didn't expect it to be nearly 2 seconds later. Years of time, such an astonishing change came out. Everyone knows that the two apprentices under the name of Huguzi will take over the mantle of Huguzi in the future. If there is no accident, the future Guzi will be born from these two disciples, but the accident really happened. And both of them are out of the situation, which is not a big shock to the entire Qian Valley, and may lead to the reorganization of several forces in the Qian Valley. Little Fatty didn't reject Guyao's good intentions. He was too polite to be able to resist Guyao's heart. Inquiring about news was Little Fatty's strength. After spending some spirit stones and medicinal pills, the information about the Guan family was quickly delivered to him. When he saw what was written on it, the little fat man's hands trembled, and his eyes turned red. "What's wrong with you?" Tianfirong just ran in and was startled when he saw the little fat man's appearance. The immediate reaction was that he bullied the little fat man. But after reflection, he felt that he had not done anything excessive, and he never thought that the little fat man was someone who would easily cry, but he was frightened. The little fat man raised his head and saw Tianfirong. He quickly turned his back and rubbed his eyes a few times. When he spoke again, his voice was a little hoarse. "I'm fine, I have something to go to Guyao, you can be busy." She ran away with red eyes. Tianfirong was confused again. He was sure that both Guyao and Qi Changjai knew what was going on, and he was the only one who was kept in the dark. This feeling was really bad. So what secrets does the little fat man hide? Tianfirong hit the palm of the other hand with a punch, worrying so much about what to do. "Just follow." Guyao saw the information brought by the little fat man, and then looked at him like this. He sighed in his heart, and reached out and patted his shoulder. This information alone can prove that Sangshuo and Wan Saiking were destroyed by Huguzu. Looking at the time elapsed since the accident with Miss Guan's family, maybe Huguzu deliberately extended the time for the sake of the little fat man, so that people would not suspect him and the little fat man, lest the high-level officials in the valley point the finger at the little fat man. Not long after Huguzu returned, Miss Guan turned into an idiot, and her sea of consciousness was destroyed, obviously because of a violent soul search. Since this Miss Guan family has been given up by the Guan family after being stupid, she lost her voice soon. Anyway, no one from the Guan family mentioned that there was such a girl in her family, maybe she died quietly long ago. The Guan family was originally attached to Qian Valley, and their life was still very good, but in the past 2 years, there has been a decline, and another family has caught up. The two families have had several disputes, but because they both belong to Qian Gu's dependent family, so Qian Valley treats them as not helping each other. The Guan family who has been robbed of a lot of resources and their status continues to decline. After 2 years, the Guan family will withdraw from the original site and be completely replaced by other families. It is also very possible. Matter. If Gu Yao said, this family and that girl are really daring, they dared to even reach out to the only grandson of Huguzu to make calculations. Huguzu just made a fool of this girl. This girl is considered light, and the downfall of the Guan family should be due to Huguzu's indulgence. It's not the result of deliberate suppression, it's not the result of the family's injustice. Whatever decision you have to make, I will support you even if the little fat man wants to go back to Qian Valley immediately. Gu Yao has no opinion. The little fat man nodded vigorously and said, I can't inherit my grandfather's alchemy technique anyway, and it doesn't make any difference whether I can return to Qian Valley. I thought about it, I will send a letter back to my grandfather to report safety, and I will let my grandfather know about it regularly in the future. When I'm outside, my grandfather should choose another apprentice with good character and pass on his alchemy skills. If I don't go back, my grandfather can concentrate on studying alchemy skills instead of wasting time for me. Gu Yao patted the little fat man again. Shoulder. When he stayed, Gu Yao naturally welcomed him very much. He and second brother Tian complimented each other and helped him and brother Ye a lot. It would be hard for him to trust him with other people. Outside, Tian Firong poked his head to look inside, with a face full of thirst for knowledge and gossip. The little fat man saw it too, wiped his face and said, I'll talk to the second brother Tian. Gu Yao, you are busy. Gu Yao nodded, and the little fat man walked towards Tian Firong, who was caught upright. Without feeling ashamed at all, and the two brothers put the little fat man on the shoulders nicely, the latter gave him a sideways glance and said, let's go, let's find a place to talk. So next, Tian Firong held a wine glass and heard such a big inside story, almost breaking the wine glass in his hand. It turned out that Wei Zhenfei was a pseudonym for the little fat man, and his real name was Hu Yk. Who is Hu Yk? Tian Firong blurted out, are you the second ancestor in the Qian Valley, little fatty black line? What kind of second ancestor is he like this? This style is not as good as that of the young master in Tian Firong's small family. He gritted his teeth and said sullenly, yeah, I'm the second ancestor you used to gossip a lot in Shifang City. Tian Firong's scalp went numb. Mother, this is a great Buddha. I didn't expect that the person they had been looking for was actually by their side. That is to say, listen to what the outside world said, and then follow the trend. I think about it now, no wonder the little fat man. If you don't think of Lingxi as a Lingxi, I will say why you are so rich and rich. It turns out that you have a good grandfather. Go away, the little fat man scolded angrily and funny. He was depressed all day. This guy was watching from the side. Fun. Don't, Tian Firong is thick-skinned, how can you just get out of the way, and leaned up to say, it seems that Gu Yao and the others already know your identity, but in the end, I don't know it alone, you can hide it from me. But those people outside would never have imagined that the person they were looking for was actually hiding in Tianfu Academy, haha. By the way, there is such a big thing in Qian Valley, don't you go back and have a look, little fat man. The little fat man saw that Tianfirong's attitude towards him had not changed much, he was still a little fat man, how annoying he was in the past, and how happy he is now. Of course, this feeling must not be expressed, lest this guy get carried away with joy. He held his chin and said, "No, I told Guyao, if I don't leave, I will send a letter of safety regularly to let my grandfather know that everything is fine with me, and I don't want to mess with everything in Qian Valley." Tianfirong could have guessed the little fat man's situation in Qian Valley. After all, a Shaogu master would rather live the life of an ordinary monk outside than go back to enjoy the identity and honor of a Shaogu master. Tianfirong touched his chin and looked at the little fat man. He somehow imagined a pitiful and miserable little fat man in his mind. When the little fat man saw his expression, he knew what was in his mind, so he got up from the chair and took a picture. He slapped his and ran, "I'll write to you, do it yourself. Ignore it, okay." When my brain was broken, I remembered to explain it to him clearly, and the little fat man hummed in his heart. He did not admit that he was actually quite happy in his heart. After leaving Qian Valley, he finally made friends. Soon, little Fatty's letter was sent to Qian Valley through a special channel. Qian Valley is in a troubled season. Who would dare to intercept the letter from the valley owner in private? You don't even dare to do anything, thinking that the owner of the valley will not be able to see it? Now the fate of Sangshuo and Wan Saiking has made the status of the valley owner even more important. Now, the status of Qian Valley can be so detached, otherwise, with the feng shui treasures and spiritual mines and large spiritual fields occupied by Qian Valley, there are many jealous forces, and it is a big problem to keep it. The various clan forces under the Qian Valley can still be willing to not turn against them. My letter? Bring it here. Huguzu stretched out his hand and grabbed it, then took the letter into his hand, swiped it with his divine sense before opening it to read, and then waved his hand to let him retreat. After the people left, Huguzu's expression changed. It was a letter of peace sent by his grandson. No wonder, the little friend Guyao would remind him about his grandson 2 years ago. It turned out that Wei Cai was by his side. He knew the identity of Wei Cai long ago. Thinking of the communication with Guyao in those days, Huguzu couldn't help but sigh. The grandson's vision is much better than his. Even if Guyao sees through the identity of the only talent, he has no intention of borrowing it. Back then, he still found it by himself. Although he was sad and reluctant to come back, but after reading what he said in his letter and thinking about the private investigation, Huguzu had to admit that his grandson's concerns were right. He not only lived comfortably outside, but also cultivated the rise is faster than before, thinking that Guyao can cultivate to the current 9th level of Qi refining with the aptitude of 4 spiritual roots, maybe Wei Cai can continue to bring him surprises. After a while, Huguzu calmed down his turbulent mood, and no one could see the previous strangeness when he went out. Huguzu didn't want to break the inheritance of Qian Valley, and also wanted to pass on his alchemy skills without hiding, but this time, if you choose apprentices, you can't just consider aptitude and talent. Such a big lesson is in front of you. The character of the heart is equally important. Qian Valley became lively and lively again because of the rumors that Huguzu Master wanted to accept apprentices, and he was not limited to the disciples in Qian Valley, and all the children of the right age, mainly wood-fire spiritual roots, could be sent to Qian Valley. Participate in the selection, and the previous crisis seems to have disappeared quickly. Such a grand event made the disciples and high-level officials in the valley quickly leave the 2 disciples who had already been crippled behind. How to make a choice? Tianfu Academy sent representatives to send congratulatory gifts to congratulate Lord Huguzu on receiving a wishful disciple. Lord Huguzu was very polite to those who came from Tianfu Academy. Others thought he was looking at Gu Yao's sake. In fact, it was not only that Gu Yao was important, but also because his grandson is now in Tianfu Academy. Gu Yao was standing outside Jianmen, and the person standing beside him was Shi Yanyan. This was not the first time they had met at Jianfeng. Looking at Shi Yanyan, who was emitting cold air and became indifferent and gloomy, Gu Yao couldn't help feeling that the world had changed. Who would have thought that the arrogant girl would become what she is now? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 113. Now Jianfeng's popularity is better than in the past. With the addition of Gu Yao and the four others, some people come to admire Qi Changjai's amazing swordsmanship, and some people go to Gu Yao's alchemy, making Jianfeng no longer so popular. Exclusion. Gu Yao will regularly hand over some medicinal pills to Jianfeng at the internal price. These medicinal pills have also become an important reason for students to join Jianfeng. There are also a few medicinal masters who were rejected by Danfen. Haruka made a decision and absorbed it. When he was free, he would also give pointers or let them watch his alchemy refining. As a result, the alchemy skills of those alchemists had increased significantly, and the elixirs they had refined were also sent to the Guka's shop, although the quality is much worse than that made by Gu Yao himself, but the first class price is first class. There is also a certain market in Tianfu College, and there is no shortage of buyers. This is also one of Gu Yao's reasons for bringing these alchemists in. The shop can't just rely on him and Qi Changjai to support it, especially the medicinal pill. Don't want to close? He can't let a store trap himself and Qi Changjai's footsteps, so it is necessary to expand the supply of goods. In addition to cultivating alchemy masters, Gu Yao also asked Tian Firong and Little Fatty to recruit several talisman masters, and sign the employment contract. The condition that the insiders can buy medicine pills at the internal price is enough to impress the talisman masters in the academy to join. As a result, the amount of goods in Guka's shop has increased a lot. During this period of time, Gu Yao was in retreat, and Qi Changjai also entered the Jianj to break through. At the end of the retreat, Gu Yao found that Qi Changjai hadn't come out. After dealing with the things at hand, he couldn't help but feel a little worried. He couldn't sit still and ran to guard outside the Jianj. Only after entering Jianfeng did he understand what kind of situation the Jianj was, but it was also after understanding the general situation that Gu Yao doubted the origin of the Jianj even more. When he first heard the name of the Sword Pavilion, he told Senior Su Chen that the Sword Pavilion would not be similar to the Dan Pavilion. At that time, Su Chen rejected it, but now it seems that even if it is not a high-level existence, its origin extraordinary. Those who enter the Jianj need to break through the gates. However, the first stage of the Jianj requires the strength to build a foundation. The high starting point is one of the reasons why the monks are scared away, and once they enter, there is no way to quit halfway. The truth is, there are only two results, one is the success of the pass, and the other is the failure of the pass. The consequences of the loser depend on the pass of the pass, so those who are not sure dare to enter easily. It is said that the dean only succeeded in breaking through the level on the first floor, and he got a lot of fortunes inside, and he succeeded in forming a pill not long after he came out. It attracted many monks who wanted to pass the level, but none of them had the good luck of the dean. Later, the dean entered the Jianj again. However, he failed to pass the level on the second floor. After that, the dean was dormant for a long time. According to the good people, the dean was probably injured during that time and needed to be dormant to recover. As for whether the outside world took the opportunity to suppress Tianfu Academy because of the injury of the dean, it is unknown. Based on these 2 points alone, Gu Yao can conclude that the Sword Pavilion is extraordinary, but there are many restrictions around the Sword Pavilion, There are no special tokens and sword energy to clear the way, ordinary monks can't approach, and Guyao can only stand outside the restrictions and look from a distance. Don't worry, senior brother Qi should be able to break through the barrier successfully, Shi Yanyan persuaded dryly. In fact, she never comforted others, and she has stayed outside the Jianj for more than 2 years, seldom communicated with others, and even more I won't say soft words. She has envy and jealousy towards Guyao and Qi Changjai. If she has the strength and potential of these two, she may be able to get revenge, but also because the two never cast a different light on her after they met, although they were not enthusiastic. But she is also treated as a normal junior sister. Shi Yanyan, who has experienced so many things, is very grateful. In her opinion, if she can't pass the barrier successfully after a long night, no one in Lin continent will be able to succeed today. Guyao smiled, I also believe him. Because of belief, each one closes his own gates. Su Chen sighed in Guyao's sea of knowledge. This is the second time he has watched the Jianj from a distance with Guyao. He didn't expect Guyao to guess at random. The origin of this Jianj is extraordinary. Comes shallow. Su Chen said, I have an idea. Guyao asked curiously, what is it? Su Chen guessed, I was thinking that the sword pavilion may not be complete. Compared with the pill pavilion, you can see that the pill pavilion started from the Qi refining period and climbed up layer by layer, but this sword pavilion needs a foundation sword. It is possible for Xiu to pass the level successfully, perhaps because he lacks the most basic level, and without the accumulation and training in level of Qi refining, it will be more difficult to pass the level on this second level. Guyao heard it and thought it was very reasonable. Take the pill pavilion as an example. If the pill pavilion is missing for the first time and he is allowed to enter the second floor directly, he will probably be excluded from the pill pavilion, and it will take a long time to make up for it. Homework, and the basics are all-encompassing. How much work and effort does he need to achieve? If this is the case, then I can understand why it is so difficult to break through the sword pavilion, and Guyao can't help but worry, then Ye should be fine, right? Su Chen rolled his eyes, you underestimate him, he was originally a sword cultivator, and he should have undergone a lot of trials in the original section. What is the inheritance of sword cultivators on this sword peak, apart from this sword pavilion? Can it be compared to what this kid Qi Changjai has? Don't worry, his sword intent is very pure and solid, he should get a lot out of this trip, this kid is really lucky. Look, I thought that falling space cracks came to a place where cultivation was backward and resources were scarce, and such a cultivation genius would fail, but who would have thought that not only did Guyao diligently treat his internal injuries, but also encountered Jianj like this, the existence of breaking and standing, this kid will achieve more in the future than before. Guyao was happy when he heard it. Of course, it is a good thing to have a harvest late in the night, but the gap between him and him has not narrowed but increased. It seems that he has to work harder, and the 9th level of Qi refining is far from being satisfied. Su Chen rolled his eyes again, this silly boy, he touched his chin and said that because I am an alchemist, I didn't bother to understand anything about sword repair, but as far as I know, there are quite a few in that place. In the holy land of sword cultivation, there will be a chance for this kid Qi Changjai to try to conquer the Jianj. If this is similar to the pill pavilion, then he can go further in the journey of Jiangziu. When I was in the small secret realm before, I saw Qi Changjai slash the sword. From Su Chen's eyes, although the cultivation base had dropped, the sword intent and the destructive power of the sword energy contained in that sword surpassed him. From the Qi Changjai that he saw at the beginning, it can be seen that what he got was really good things. Guyao was stunned for a moment, then said, I'll try to talk to Brother Ye when I have a chance. It's too abrupt to mention it now, and if the sword pavilion here is really incomplete, how can it be subdued? Because of Su Chen's words, Guyao was relieved a lot, so he simply stayed outside, reading a book with peace of mind while waiting, occasionally refining a pot or two of medicinal pills, and sorting out his previous research experience. He is not in a hurry to build the foundation, but wants to refine an upgraded version of the transformation potion before building the foundation. Not only will the success rate of foundation building be increased, but the spiritual power after foundation building will be more solid. From Qi Changjai, he also knew that there are differences between monks of the same rank. Those monks who built the foundation with reluctance to pile up with medicinal pills did not have the power of unity when facing Qi Changjai, who had just established the foundation. Seeing this, Shi Yanyan didn't bother Guyao anymore. He also stayed aside or practiced swordsmanship or meditating. In another place, Elder Yi and Dean Yu, who rarely shows up, also come here to watch from time to time, but neither of them showed up. Now that someone is breaking into the sword pavilion again, how can the two of them not be nervous? According to Dean Yu, he felt that Qi Changjai should have a few more years to break into the sword pavilion. It is still too early, but this is Qi Changjai's own decision, and he can't stop it. This day, the two came to the outside of the sword pavilion one after another. There was still no movement in the sword pavilion. Elder Yi couldn't help but worry. Qi Changjai was the best sword cultivator he had seen over the years. It is even worse. He can't guide anything at all. If such a genius is damaged because of the sword pavilion, the loss will be too great. President, will he be able to? Sigh, I should have stopped me earlier in the long night. Elder Yi. Repent. Dean Yu shook his head and said, this son is determined, very capable, and you can't stop him. He should be most aware of his injuries. He must be able to enter in his opinion, don't forget. He was also a sword cultivator who had formed an elixir, and even if he was only in the middle stage of foundation building, he was not necessarily weaker than the foundation building completion. Only cultivators who have completed the alchemy will understand the gap between the alchemy and the foundation. It is an earth-shaking change. Even if Qi Changjai's cultivation base falls back to the foundation now, the Jindan cultivator's state of mind and understanding have not been lost. The use of spiritual power and sword qi is far from comparable to a foundation building cultivator, so although President Yu is worried, in general, he is very optimistic about Qi Changjai. I hope it's what the dean said. Elder Yi sighed and said, but Guyao is kind and righteous, and he has been here since he left the customs. If it weren't for his alchemy, Qi Changjai would not be able to recover so fast. Therefore, Elder Yi's perception of Guyao is getting higher and higher, and he likes it more and more. Dean Yu nodded and said, yes, Lord Hugu also came to trust me to take care of Guyao. Even if he doesn't tell me, I will do the same with Guyao around. Even Dan Feng's actions have been much more restrained than before. When there are competitors, there is pressure. The two chatted leisurely. Suddenly, Dean Yu sighed, and quickly got up and looked at the Jianj. At the same time, Guyao, who was feeling in his heart, also walked out of the wooden house where he was resting. Induction, Qi Changye is about to come out. At this moment, a mighty and sharp sword Qi shot up into the sky, and Dean Yu threw a few pieces of jade talismans with a warning. The vision was quickly covered up. Dean Yu's eyes showed joy. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 114. At the entrance of Jianj, a figure gradually appeared in the eyes of Guyao and several people from far to near, from blurred to clear. That figure was like a sharp sword piercing the sky. It was unstoppable, but as he stepped out step by step, the invincible sharpness gradually entered his body. When he came to Guyao, he had already with all the sword energy in his body. Even if an ordinary person approaches his body, he will not be hurt by the sword energy. Brother Ye, congratulations. Looking at Qi Changjai's appearance, he knew that he had made a breakthrough and gained a lot, and Guyao was happy for him. Qi Changjai's eyes softened, but before speaking to Guyao, he bowed his hands in the distance. Thank you, Dean and Elder Yi, for your help. Only now did Guyao know that Dean Yu and Elder Yi are here again. By the way, they must have activated the formation restriction and covered up the vision here for Chi Change Eye, otherwise they will definitely attract the cultivators inside and outside the hospital. Attention, causing unnecessary harassment and trouble. Haha, Chi Change Eye, you are very good, the old man is waiting for you to achieve greater achievements, haha. The laughter gradually faded away, and Dean Yu did not show up. After speaking, he walked away. Elder Yi showed an excited smile, glanced at the two people below, and left as well. Chi Change-I could clearly feel their movements. After they left, he took Gu Yao's hand and said, "They are all gone, let's go back to." "Okay." Su Chen sighed with emotion again, "This kid is really good." When he entered, he was in the middle stage of foundation building, and when he came out, it was in the late stage of foundation building. If this goes on, it's not far from forming a pill. Gu Yao was stunned when he heard it. He didn't expect the progress to be so fast. He only felt that Chi Change-I's spiritual power was more condensed and sharper. Noticing Gu Yao's gaze, Chi Change-I turned around and asked, "What's wrong?" "Brother, yeah, the injury in your body." Gu Yao hesitated. Chi Change-I smiled slightly, "Thanks to the Jianj, everything is healed, the stubborn sword chi remaining in the body and the meridians, because the environment of the Jianj has been completely removed. This injury will be healed naturally with the help of Xiaoao's medicinal pill. Originally, he could stay in the sword pavilion until he formed elixir again, because the spiritual energy in the sword pavilion was much more abundant than outside, but thinking of Gu Yao outside, he came out. Resolutely. If he was alone, he might choose to form pills as quickly as possible, and then find a way to leave the Tianlin continent, but now he is willing to slow down his pace, wait for Gu Yao to catch up, and slow down his cultivation speed and improve his mood. It is not without merit that it is more solid and rounded. Really? That's great. The two walked away together while talking. Shi Yanyan silently watched the backs of the two. She was very envious. How could she not know how indifferent Chi Change-I was to others, but he would smile at Gu Yao. They will take care of Gu Yao care, and even those who prepare food and drink for Gu Yao will not feel that they have lost their identity. Shi Yanyan's eyes were sour, and she turned her head quickly. This kind of truth was too extravagant for her, and her gaze became firmer when she looked at the sword pavilion. She had to work hard to practice swordsmanship, and sword repair could make her stronger. 1,000 times a day is not enough, then 5,000 times, 10,000 times, she can definitely do it. Chi Change-I told Gu Yao about the various things in the sword pavilion on the road. Before entering, he had received advice from the dean. Inside is a place full of sword spirit, and if you accidentally hurt yourself, you can only use the same. Only with a certain degree of sword energy and sword intent to counterattack, can you break through the level little by little. In fact, there is such a place in the original Lingyunzang. Chi Change-I had similar experiences, but after entering the Jianj, I realized that what I had experienced can only be said to be too superficial. After raising his swordsmanship to a level, he may fail to break through the level, and even if he succeeds, he will not have as much gain now. A blessing in disguise. After Chi Change-I succeeded in breaking through the barrier, this was the thought that flashed in his mind. In addition to getting a thunder sword art, I also got a sword embryo. I just collected some materials in my hand. Using the sword embryo as an embryo, I can build my magic sword. Chi Change-I didn't hide it from Gu Yao. The sword tire obtained in the sword pavilion was taken out and shown to him. The so-called sword tire is a small black sword with a long slap. It looks extremely ordinary, but it trembles slightly in Chi Change-I's palm, as if to protest against Chi Change-I taking it out for people to visit. There was a terrifying aura on the outside. Gu Yao smiled, "That's great." "Well, I like it too." Chi Change-I nodded and smiled. Xiao Jian stopped shaking, and then he was waved by Chi Change-I into his dantian to continue to nurture. cultivate a tacit connection with the sword embryo, and be able to better achieve the human sword in the future. Unity, the sword follows the heart. What Elder Yi told him was not false. If he encounters the dangers of the past again in the future, as long as the sword tire is not damaged, the sword body is not so important. If he finds suitable materials, his sword will always follow him and become his best combat partner. Whoa, whoa. The two groups of auras stopped in front of the two of them. The two looked at each other and turned on the aura at the same time, and the voice inside came out. One from the little fat man, Guyao, Brother Qi and Tian Haizong asked for help from all parties in the Tianlin continent. Sea beasts invaded wildly, and people along the coast suffered heavy casualties. Brother Tian was very worried about his elder brother's situation and wanted to rush to Tian Haizong. One is from Lu Qiu's Hung, junior brother Gu, has Brother Qi left the customs? If you do, why don't you go to Tian Haizong with me to do a mission? The area of Tian Haizong has been invaded by sea beasts. Don't you practice all day long? The former has a heavy tone, while the latter is extremely light, as if going out to play, not forgetting to call friends. It turned out to be Tian Haizong. Let's go back quickly. Guyao knew how deeply Tian Urge had feelings for his eldest brother, and knew that Tian Haizong was in critical condition and could not sit still. As for Lu Qiu's Hung, if he didn't reply, he would still urge him one by one, bombarding him with a communication talisman until you reply. That's how willful. Qi Changjai directly pulled Guyao's arm, and a sword light wrapped the two of them and quickly escaped. Qi Changjai broke into the Jianj this time, and it was not made public. In addition to Guyao and Shi Yanyan, who was guarding the Jianj, the insiders also knew about the Dean and the Elder Yi. In addition, Dean Yu shot in time to cover up the success of the breakthrough. Vision, even if there are a few people with sudden and sensitive perception, who perceive the instantaneous fluctuation of momentum, but when they trace it carefully, they can't find the source. Even if someone perceives that it is sword energy, they will wonder if it is the aura of the Dean when practicing swordsmanship. Dean Yu knows that if the outside world is known at this time, Tianfu Academy is likely to have another Jindan cultivator, or a Jindan sword cultivator. Tianfu Academy will definitely be pushed to the forefront by those who are interested, and Qi Changjai will also become the black hand behind it. Focus on the target. The two hurried back to their yard. On the way, they met students in District A who were discussing something intensely. If you didn't listen carefully, you could hear words such as sea beasts, Tian Haizong, etc. It was obvious that the academy had spread the word, but because Guyao has been staying on the side of Ji Unfeng and never left, so I don't know the situation outside. Guyao, Brother Qi, you guys are back. Little Fatty didn't expect that the two of them would leave soon after the call. Now. Guyao, Brother Qi, I. Tian Firong, who followed casually, wanted to say. Tian our brother, I'm going to support the Tian High section. It just happened that Brother Ye and I wanted to go out for a walk. Let's act together and be sure of safety, Guyao said quickly. Yes, what's the use of relying on you alone? Don't even look at how much weight you have. The little fat man hit Tian Firong and ran over like this. He really couldn't help his eldest brother. Tian Firong Guang scratched his head, not knowing how to express his gratitude. Guyao didn't make this trip specially for Brother Tian. Of course, even if he had something at hand, he would go out when he knew the situation. The fact is that he and Qi Changjai went out one after another. It is good for the growth of the mood, so these two things are coincidental. Besides, the sea beasts have invaded the land where ordinary people live. Guyao can't stand by and watch. He came from the interstellar world. In the face of the threat of the Zerg, as long as he can go to the battlefield, he will do his best to protect the homeland behind him. Now as a monk, naturally, he also has the responsibility to protect ordinary people. Don't talk about it, just pack up and get ready to go. Prepare more things. By the way, Let's see if the task hall has released tasks. If you don't get white, you won't get any. Harika is so frugal. Chi Change-I agrees without the slightest objection. It should be. The little fat man twitched the corners of his mouth. He was used to it. Sometimes he didn't treat the spirit stone as a spirit stone flower. Guyao hurriedly sent a message to Lu Chiu's Hung, telling him that his group was about to respond to the call and set off. Of course, it would be better to form a team with Lu Chiu's Hung and the others. Facing the hordes of sea beasts, his personal strength was still weaker. Guyao asked one of the sisters in the shop to spend another person. He has some medicinal pills that he can't use outside, which can be sold in the shop. After leaving, he doesn't know when he can come back. If he had foresight and trained other pill masters, Master Fu, the shop will be closed as soon as they leave. Chi Change-I went to hoard some food and drink. After all, he had to go out for a lot of time. After half an hour, the four of Guyao joined Lu Chiu's Hung and his party, got on the flying instruments provided by the Xingye Chamber of Commerce, and flew out of Tianfu Academy with a bang. At the same time, there were other students stepping on the instruments. Flying out of the academy, not all students can be as lavish as the Xingye Chamber of Commerce, and it is no problem to have a large flying instrument to carry dozens of hundreds of people. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 115. Going out is actually a very happy thing. It would be better if there were no sea beasts invading. This world is actually more dangerous than the interstellar world. When it created countless amazing talents who can fly to the sky, it also has countless dangers. There are sea beasts in the sea, and there are monsters in the mountains and forests on the shore. For ordinary people once faced with these dangers, there is no resistance at all, and there are evil demons lurking in the dark who do not treat the people as human beings. Guyao yearns for the top strong man standing on the top of the world, but he also has a heart of compassion for the ordinary people living at the bottom. Because of the limitation of spiritual roots, these people are stuck outside the door of cultivation. Facing the demon, there is no resistance to the invasion of beasts. If he can develop a medicinal elixir that can shape spiritual roots without the need for expensive and rare spiritual materials, is it possible for ordinary people to gain power and protect their homes with their own bodies? But Guyao still has a daze in his eyes. If everyone can practice cultivation, then the consumption of spiritual energy in this world will continue to increase, and the final result is that the level of cultivation in the whole world will drop greatly. Can this result be tolerated by every cultivator? According to the records in the book, the spiritual energy of the cultivation world in ancient times is incomparable today. All kinds of heaven and earth treasures can be seen everywhere, and many rare spiritual grasses are now extinct. But then he laughed at himself again. How could this kind of medicinal pills be so well researched? Maybe he spent hundreds of years and may not have a result. You don't know how many cultivating families have descendants born with undetectable spiritual roots. If the situation is a little better, you can still be a rich man. If the situation is not good, you will be sent away from the family after birth, and you will not be eligible to enjoy everything in the main family. What are you thinking about all day? Hearing Guyao's whimsical thoughts, Su Chen was speechless, wishing to shake Guyao awake to see what water was pouring into his mind. Under heaven, ants, mortals are the same, monks are the same, no one can escape this barrier. From Su Chen's point of view, mortals are like bees and ants in the eyes of their monks. Do monks need to take care of the lives of mortals? Unless there is a devastating catastrophe for mortals such as the sea beast invasion, after all, countless mortals are the foundation of the entire cultivation world. Otherwise, in ordinary situations, who would cultivators deliberately take action to rescue ordinary people? Guyao scratched his head. Although there are ants under the heaven, there are also different levels of ants. If he said that, the monks should be more advanced ants. He was still influenced by the previous life. He put it another way, Senior, Don't you think it is very challenging to study such a medicinal pill? Dare to do what the predecessors dared not imagine and dare not do. If it succeeds, not to mention fame and fortune, the sense of achievement is also very huge. Bar. Su Chen choked for a moment. He had to say that the moment he heard it was very tempting, and then he took another sip. I think it's a waste of time. How much time can you waste? This is good. Gu Yao was also choked by Su Chen. Seeing that Gu Yao was speechless, Su Chen laughed proudly in the space. Su Chen added, if you have this time, you might as well study and study how to fill your spiritual roots. It makes sense for Gu Yao to be ashamed again, but if you think about it, there is no sin. His teacher never restrains his various whimsical ideas. The teacher said that when you have an idea, it is possible to turn it into reality. So even if some of his ideas are unrealistic, the teacher will never laugh at him like Su Chen. Compared with the realm, Su Chen is far worse than the teacher. Gu Yao slandered. On the road, everyone took turns to control the flying instruments, and they flew for several days and nights without stopping. On this day, the speed of the flying instruments suddenly dropped, and the monk who was monitoring the situation outside sounded alert, there is a battle ahead. Everyone be careful. Everyone came out of their resting place, went outside and looked out from the magic weapon. Sure enough, there was a flash of fighting in the forest ahead. The flying magic weapon slowed down and leaned over. It may lead to new battles, ordinary battles between monks, but I don't want outsiders to interfere. No, there is a market town of ordinary people in front, and there are a large group of monsters attacking outside. There are monks responding to the enemy, but they can't stand it any longer. Go down and help. The situation observed by the detector made the monk who controlled the magic tool shout loudly, and then the shield above the magic weapon was opened, and the students who sacrificed their own magic weapon rushed out one after another. They were both human monks. Of course, they wanted to help each other, and they could not ignore the monsters attacking human towns. Qi Changjai has already refined the sword body for his sword body along the way. The sword body is black, but the sword body is black and purple. It does not look gorgeous. When the magic sword is sacrificed, Qi Changjai pulls Gu Yao forward. He flew to the market town, and Tian Firong and Little Fatty immediately followed. This place is not far from Tianhaizong, and maybe we can find out more specific news. Gu Yao smelled the smell of blood in the wind, and couldn't help thinking that Yuanyang town was far away from the coast, so there should be no accidents. Thinking that back then, the original mother also encountered a small-scale monster attack. Gu's Haiming will die only if he protects him. I wonder if there will be anyone to protect him regardless of his own life when such a situation occurs again? Of course, he didn't want the people of Yuanyang town to encounter the immediate crisis. Yu Song is a disciple of Tianhaizong. After receiving the letter of help from the monks in Ganggu town, he was sent by Zongmen to recruit some family monks attached to Tianhaizong to support Ganggu town and repel the beasts that attacked the town. Group, but he underestimated this beast tide attack, persisted for 3 days and 3 nights, the beast group still did not subside, but the main force of the sect is to deal with the larger sea beast tide, and there is no way to distinguish the manpower. Support, even if he asks the sect for help at this moment, I am afraid that the town will be destroyed before the rescue arrives. Fellow deist, it's not good to go on like this. Is there really no cultivator coming to reinforce it? Zhang Yangzhe panting on the side said. Zhang Yangzhe is the surviving cultivator in the town, but the 6th layer Qi refining cultivation base. Nearly dying in the beast tide, Gangtown is a market town dominated by mortals. His cultivation has been praised as a fairy-like existence in the town, but he would have been targeted by the beasts. Yu Song shook his head, looked at the exhausted monks, and said with a wry smile, I can't tell the difference. If it's really not possible, let's break through a gap and the people out of the town. How much can be sent out? Everyone, do your best. That's it, After sending people out, we monks, let's run for our own lives. Zhang Yongji couldn't help laughing miserably when he heard the result. In fact, he was very grateful for Yu Songnin's persistence until now. The monks who came with Yu Song also lost their lives in the beast tide. The lives of the people depended on Song and his party, so they could only retreat. How many people could survive during the retreat could only be determined by the destiny. Senior brother Yu, look at the sky, there is a flying instrument passing by here, the monk above is flying over, it should be here to save us. A monk who came with Yu Song saw the light in the distance and shouted excitedly. Really, Yu Song was overjoyed, and hurriedly looked in the direction of the monk's finger, and sure enough he saw a flash of light coming. Great, everyone cheer up, reinforcements are coming, as long as we persist for a while, we will be able to save. Yeah, someone is here, I still have the last few magic talismans left on me, so let's smash them out together. I originally wanted to save them for the last use. Haha, I still have a Huiwen Dan, wicked animal, die. The ordinary young and middle-aged people who participated in the battle with more serious casualties were even more encouraged by this news, and their morale was boosted. Lu Qiu's Hung took the lead all the way, and rushed the fastest in front. Before anyone arrived, the voice sounded first, kill. Kill all these monsters. After shouting, the man rushed into the beast group, causing the monster to roar again and again, and at the same time, blood splattered. Come on, kill. The people who came along were also high-spirited. They sat sullenly on the magic weapon for several days and needed to move their hands and feet. A stone lizard slammed into the city wall, and the devastated city wall was unbearable. A corner collapsed with a bang, and several ordinary young adults above fell down screaming. No one was able to spare a hand to help them. Looking at those few people, they were about to fall into the mouth of the open-mouthed stone lizard. Some people's eyes were red, some people couldn't bear to see the next scene, they turned their heads, but in the next moment, there was an exclamation, and they saw a few vines swam like snakes, and they stopped them by the waist and rolled them up. At the same time, a sword chi fell on the stone lizard's head. With a bang, the whole ferocious lizard was split in half, and the blood and internal organs flowed all over the ground. The few people who were almost fainted by the stench from the mouth of the stone lizards felt that they were flying into the air, and the next moment they were sent to the still intact city wall. Their legs softened and they almost fell to the ground. Watching from the side, the person who cleared the scene quickly came to support. I'm not dead? We're not dead? Ouch, the few people who escaped being swallowed by the monsters howled excitedly. Stupid, thank you for the experts who saved you. Without them, you wouldn't have survived. The person next to them slapped them violently. Those people quickly got up, jumped on the top of the city wall and looked out. They saw two people flying in the air with flying swords under their feet, but after those two people had just rescued and killed the stone lizard, turning around to rob and kill other monsters threatening the city wall, it seems that he didn't take the matter of saving people to heart at all. Thank you for the rescue. The person who finished shouting wiped his face and continued to participate in the battle. Guyao, who heard the voice, didn't turn his head, only waved to them. Compared to him, every time Chi Changjai swung a sword, he took away the lives of a piece of monsters. Soon, there was a lot of empty space under the city wall. No matter how weak those monsters were, they knew how to take advantage and avoid harm. So after being scared of being killed, they scrambled to flee outside, for fear of being slashed to death by a sword from the evil spirit behind. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 116. In addition to the big killer Chi Changjai, Lu Qiu's Hung and Zhang Yan's fighting power is not weak, and there is also a foundation building cultivator accompanying them to protect everyone's safety, so the highest strength of this group is not more than the foundation building cultivator. The group of monsters was quickly killed in pieces. After some monsters took the lead and escaped, the other monsters followed into the mountains and forests. Lu Qiu's Hung and a few others chased after them for a while, and then brought them with them. He came back full of blood and murderous aura, but did not chase after him blindly. After the people in the town knew that someone from a high level had come to save them, many people climbed onto the city wall, and the corpses on the ground could not restrain their worship, yearning, and excitement. When the beast tide receded, the people on the wall cheered. They don't have to worry about the city wall protecting the town being washed away, their homes are not guaranteed, and they may die under the hooves of animals at any time. I didn't have time to observe it before, but now Yu Song recognized the origin of this group of people. They were from Tianfu College, and he also recognized Zhang Yan and Lu Qiu's Hung. After all, they were well-known figures in Tianfu College, and Lu Qiu's Hung was outside. I ran a lot, and occasionally images came out. Yu Song was grateful and sighed, hoping that someone would come for reinforcements, but he knew that such expectations were very slim. He didn't expect that the monks of Tianfu College would save them from the fire and water. Yes, he didn't expect to come here so soon. As far as he knows, if the Northern Star sect has not arrived yet, Tianfu Academy, which is not well known, is unexpectedly fighting for the sky. Fellow Daoist Zhang, fellow Daoist Lu, and fellow Daoists, thank you for your rescue. In Yuzhong, Xiashan Haiman, why don't you take a rest in the town? I can also inform everyone of the sect of your arrival. Yu Song was polite with gratitude. Road. Then it's up to you, fellow Daoist, and we also want to inquire about the situation on the Tian Haiman side, Zhang Yan said with a smile on behalf of the party that came here. Everyone, please. Please. The dilapidated city gate was opened to welcome the group into the town. The people spontaneously lined up on both sides to welcome the heroes, with a humble and extremely pious attitude. For ordinary people, these can be done in a short period of time. The monk who repelled the beast tide was undoubtedly a high-ranking immortal. Yu Song took them to the best house in the town to rest, which was Zhang Yangji's house. Before Yu Song did not bring anyone, Zhang Yangji was naturally the highest-ranking family in the town. These people were willing to come to his house to rest. For Zhang Yangji it is also a very honorable thing. He is a loose cultivator. When there was no animal swarm, he didn't think he was bad. But after the swarm of beasts came, especially after this group of people killed the quartet today, Zhang Yangji felt that his combat effectiveness was immediately underlined. Became scum. On the way, the two sides got to know each other. Yu Song had paid attention to Qi Changjai at first. In fact, he is the strongest and the most lethal. Guessing the identity of this person, it does not match the name of the monk who was famous before. As a result, after Zhang Yan reported Qi Changjai's identity, Yu Song was greatly shocked. This person is also known for a long time. The reason why he is famous is because he entered Tianfu Academy as a follower. However, it was then spread that Elder Yi personally wanted to admit him to Jianfeng, but he was categorically rejected. Elder Yi still did not give up, and made various arguments about the dean, which made the listeners wonder, what kind of ability does this person have? Elder Yi is so cherished. As the saying goes, it's better to meet him than to be famous. Having seen his explosive combat power with his own eyes, Yu Song immediately called him a god. No wonder Elder Yi fought for him in the academy. His true strength spread out, and I'm afraid other forces will regret it. Why didn't he enter the door, but let him go to Tianfu Academy? However, Yu Song immediately remembered another thing. It is said that Qi Changjai was the follower of the alchemist Gu Yao at the beginning, and the reason for rejecting Elder Yi was because of the alchemist Gu Yao. Before Gu Yao became famous, who would not laugh at Qi Changjai? There were even some unpleasant reputations, but it didn't take long for the reversal to occur. Qi Changjai became the object of envy and jealousy of the monks, because the monks he followed were not incompetent, but relying on one-handed alchemy in the whole world. Tianlin continent has become famous, and many people can't wait to replace him. The benefits of following such an alchemist are obvious to all. People who used to think Qi Changjai was stupid, now think he has a lot of scheming. So, the young man who seems to have a little relationship with Qi Changjai is probably the alchemist Gu Yao. Yu Song thought that he might not be able to restrain himself from getting excited. Although the possibility of Gu Yao coming out in person was extremely small, he heard that he has always been inseparable with Qi Changjai, and he asked Zhang Yan with a trembling voice, "The person next to Daoist Qi is very close. Could this fellow Daoist be the alchemist Gu Yao?" His voice quickly drew the eyes of others to Gu Yao. Even Zhang Yangzhe, a loose cultivator who lived in this town, had heard of his reputation and could not help but stare. How could this be possible? Gu Yao, an alchemist, would personally be in danger? Zhang Yan laughed and looked at Gu Yao softly. "Yes, this is Gu Yao, he also needs to come out to practice now, with Brother Qi following, don't worry about safety." Gu Yao showed them a slight smile and got their approval. Yu Song, Zhang Yangzhe, and his party were even more excited. There was a feeling of I actually saw a live alchemist Gu Yao. After a lot, Gu Yao became the object of everyone's attention. However, Zhang Yan and the others are not surprised. If Gu Yao is not taken seriously, there will be problems. Moreover, Gu Yao has always had a peaceful temperament. He has never felt that he is a genius alchemist and is superior. In Zhang Yan's eyes, he is like a younger brother who needs to be taken care of. In the same way, it has not changed from beginning to end, and he thinks that it will not change much in the future. So after arriving at the place, Zhang Yangzhe arranged the best room for Gu Yao, and Qi Changjai was naturally arranged by him next to Gu Yao. Tian Firong and Little Fatty who came with Gu Yao also received excellent care. The latter two were a little moved by the attention they paid. There was a feeling of following the big family and eating the big family. I didn't expect Gu Yao's reputation to be so big now, and he has always been in Tianfu College, but his understanding is not so deep. After they sat down, Yu Song and Zhang Yangzhe came to Sizier and asked if Gu Yao could help them make a few pots of pills. It was really the consumption of pills that had been consumed by the battles over the past few days, and they were not very rich people. The amount of medicinal pills stored in the body is also very limited. No problem, have you prepared the materials? Gu Yao didn't think it was too embarrassing. For him, it was a big effort. He also saw the predicament of these people. Yes, of course there is, the two were overjoyed. How could Gu Yao help them to make alchemy with his own materials? Otherwise if it spreads out, they will probably be hunted and killed. How many people outside are jealous of Gu Yao's talent? How many people admire his achievements? To help people to the end, Gu Yao said, if anyone else needs it, please send the materials before I leave here. Will it take up too much time of the ancient alchemist? Yu Song said gratefully and apprehensively. It's fine, it won't take long. Gu Yao smiled. The two of them were moved and said good things about a basket of radishes, and then hurriedly went down to inform the others. If they had the materials, they should prepare them as soon as possible, but don't be too greedy. Then I will ask Gu Yao to have this face in front of me in the future. In fact, for others, Gu Yao's promise to concoct alchemy is good enough. How dare you get an inch close? Gu alchemist is kind, but Qi Changjai who is by his side may not be, that is a big killer. When the people left, seeing Qi Changjai's disapproving look, Gu Yao poured out the spirit tea and brought it to him. Brother, yeah, you know how fast I can concoct pills, it won't take long, and the pills they need are estimated to be the same. Intermediate Dan, I won't do anything beyond my ability to embarrass myself. When Qi Changjai took the tea, it meant that he wasn't angry with Gu Yao, and Gu Yao laughed. In fact, he knew that Qi Changjai didn't say anything to stop him, so he wasn't very opposed, but he just didn't want him to worry about it. Accepted. Yu Song and Zhang Yangzhe were very good at being human, and they didn't want to disturb Gu Yao and the others again and again, so they gathered the materials that other people wanted to make medicine pills, made a list and sent them to Gu Yao together, this time by Little Fatty for those who received them. The two of them didn't feel sorry for not seeing Gu Yao again. The corpses of monsters outside the town are huge treasures to the people of Ganggu town, but after they are cleaned up, let the monks look at them first. After the monks select them, they are the ones who are left, and it is Yu Song's turn to choose them first. It was Gu Yao and Zhang Yan, who were on their side again. It wasn't because they passed by here in time to take action, and Yu Song couldn't guarantee whether he could escape alive. Originally Yu Song thought that Gu Yao and Qi Changjai didn't like these things, but Zhang Yan knew about these two people and called out Qi Changjai specially, and the latter chose some animal meat very carefully. They all had an important the characteristic of the food is that the taste is relatively good after cooking, so Yu Song and Zhang Yangzhe, who were watching the selection process, kept the expression of Mudua speechless throughout the whole process. Qi Changjai walked away coldly. Zhang Yan smiled slightly, just knowing the result, and called someone over. Lu Qiu's Hung made a cut to express his contempt, and showed his love in a high-profile way. Who wouldn't? Of course, Yu Song had to arrange for someone to quickly clean up what Qi Changjai needed and send it over. Qi Changjai had just left, and Tian Firong came over on the other side. Yu Song had to hand over the matter in his hand to Zhang Yangzhe and talk to Tian Firong. Of course Tian Firong wanted to inquire about his brother. When he said that he was Tian Fei Yang's younger brother, Yu Song was obviously very surprised. Tian Fei Yang was not known to anyone in Tianheimon because he was brought in by Tian Ru. Tian Ru's success in establishing the foundation has attracted the attention of the whole section. In the eyes of many disciples, Tian Fei Yang has become a backdoor with a background, and is covered by a foundation building cultivator. His life is better than other disciples who have no background. It's a good time. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 117. Is my eldest brother all right? Seeing Yu Song in a daze, Tian Firong couldn't help repeating himself. No, I think it should be fine. With the foundation building cultivator guarding, junior brother Tian will be much safer than us. So far, I haven't heard from my colleagues what happened to junior brother Tian. If you want to know the details of your elder brother whereabouts, I can send a message to the same sect to help you ask. After all, there are so many disciples in the sect, it is impossible for him to understand everyone's movements, and after arriving here, he is busy all day long, and there is no time to rest. Then it's up to fellow deist, Tian Firong said gratefully. Yu Song was flattered. He just inquired about a piece of news, which was not worthy of Tian Firong's gratitude, so he helped him inquire more attentively. Gu Yao and the others stayed here for a few days. In addition to the overexhausted monks who needed to adjust their breath and recover, those who still had spare energy helped the people of Ganggu town to strengthen the city walls around the town, so that they would not be easily washed away if there was a beast tide. There were monks who took action, especially the monks who practiced earth-based exercises. One of them was more than 10. It didn't take long, and the defense of the reinforced city wall increased several times. Gu Yao also concocted the spiritual materials sent by others into pills and delivered them all to them. He didn't keep any of them, and he didn't charge any additional fees. He just controlled it during the process of concocting pills, and no top-quality pills were produced. But this is enough to make Yu Song and the others tearful. None of their fellow alchemists are as friendly as Gu Yao, and the most important thing is that the quality of the elixirs is much better than theirs. Zhang Yan and Lu Qiu's Hung used the past few days to explore the mountains and forests. They learned more about the situation from Yu Song. What Tianheimon did not understand was that, in addition to the invasion of sea beasts, the monsters in the forests on the shore also they frequently ran out to attack areas where ordinary people lived. Since they intervened, they also wanted to know if there were other reasons for this. As a result, nothing abnormal was found until they left, so they had to stop temporarily and rush to Tianheim first. According to what they found in the mountain forest, the beast tide has receded, and there will be no large-scale monsters for the time being. Beast Attack Town Event. Yu Song and his party got on the flying instrument of Tianfu College and set off with Zhang Yan and others. Zhang Yangzhe and the monks in the original town continued to stay behind. 2 days later, they arrived at Tianheim. The top of Tianhaizongmen, who had received the communication from Yu Song earlier, specially sent someone out to greet them, not at Tianfu Academy, but at the alchemist Guyao on the flying instrument. At the time of the interrogation, after the report was reported, some elders reconfirmed it several times in disbelief. At this time, almost no alchemist would go to the front line of the dangerous line. Even if they could provide medicinal pills at the rear, it was a benevolent heart. After Song sent the image back, the top management was moved. At this time, the alchemist came in person, especially the excellent alchemist. The power generated is not less than 10 or dozens of monks, because the medicinal pill consumes a lot of resources in battle, and there is also a shortage of talisman masters. For this reason, Tianheim I have already sent people out to purchase these fast-consuming materials in large quantities. The person who came out to greet him in person was Elder Peng, who was busy in the door. It was enough to see that Tianheim attached great importance to Guyao. After meeting, Elder Peng said, "My disciple Tianfi Yang originally arranged to guard the person by the sea. In a market town, he has been summoned to come back, and another person will be sent to guard him, so you don't have to worry." When Yu Song asked about this person, the Tianheim high-level officials checked it out. It was not difficult to find that Tianfi Yang had a younger brother who was in Tianfu College. By Guyao's side, Guyao came from the same place as their brothers again, which is of course very different. Tianfi Yang is undoubtedly the best candidate to receive them. Thank you Elder Peng. Guyao and Tianfirong expressed their gratitude together. After Guyao and his party settled in Tianheim, they knew that Tianheim lacked medicinal pills, so Guyao took the initiative to undertake the task of concocting pills, while Zhang Yan and the others went to the front line to see the situation. At Guyao's side, other than that, only Tianfirong stayed and waited for his eldest brother, and the little fat man also set off with Zhang Yan and the others, not for fun and enjoyment. During this period, someone came to visit Guyao, but they were all dismissed by Qi Changjai. Anyone with eyes could see that he was a cultivator in the late stage of foundation establishment and a sword cultivator. Who would dare to embarrass him? Guyao spent several days refining the medicinal pills without eating or sleeping, but he did not leave all of them to Tianheim, and after learning about the situation here, Guyao not only took out part of the medicinal pills in the valley, but also called on the alchemists in the valley to make pills. A batch has already been sent, and the one refined by Guyao has greatly eased the pressure on Tianheim on the medicinal pills, making the high level relieved. Although the monks from Qian Valley did not come, the large amount of medicinal pills they sent was not less than the assistance of other sects, and even more urgent. Batches of medicinal pills are registered in the account, and Tianheim still has to pay them when the sea beasts recede. It is impossible to let Guyao and Qiyang do white jobs. Although the invasion of sea beasts will kill many monks, and ordinary people will face disasters, it is undeniable that the remains of these sea beasts are also a huge wealth for Tianheim. The pressure is relieved, and Guyao can also relax. Although the number of medicinal pills he handed in is not as good as that sent by Qian Valley, but the speed at which such a batch of medicinal pills can be refined in a short period of time has shocked the top of Tianheim. As expected, he is a genius of alchemy, just like the legends outside. No, it even surpasses the legends outside. Not only is the speed fast, but the quality is also the highest. When Guyao came out, he saw Tianfi Yang and Tianfirong talking in the courtyard. He had been back for 2 days, but because Guyao was in retreat and refining pills, he didn't bother, and when he saw him coming out, he hurried over. "Thank you, Guyao." He felt that the words of thanks were too thin, so he smiled and said, "I'm really happy to see you and my second brother again, especially at times like this." He received a summons outside, saying that Guyao and his younger brother were coming, and he was shocked. At such a dangerous juncture, what was Tian Furong doing here? And don't implicate Guyao. He knows better than others about Guyao's alchemy skills. When he hit the 7th level of qi refining, it was because of the elixirs that Guyao sent that he passed through very smoothly. He is a genius, but he doesn't know the inside story, but now it is estimated that many people are guessing whether he is relying on Guyao. He hurried back to the door and was startled again when he saw his second brother. The two brothers hadn't seen each other since entering Tianhaimen, so he never expected Tian Furong's cultivation to progress so quickly. This is the second brother he knew. After being told by Tian Furong that it was Guyao's help, Tian Fiyang instantly drew Guyao to be a god. Is there anything he can't do? The second brother can know Guyao and follow him all the time, which is the most correct thing the second brother has done in his life. In contrast, he felt that his aunt was a little worse than his second brother. He still remembered that although his aunt thought Guyao's alchemy technique was good at the time, it was a pity that his cultivation aptitude was too poor and he didn't take it too seriously, so he missed Tianhaimen. For such a talented alchemist, my aunt must have regretted it long ago. Guyao was also very happy to see the people he knew before. Big brother Tian is okay, I see big brother Tian's breath. It has solidified a lot. I must have experienced a lot of battles. Is the outside situation okay? Tian Fiyang will reintroduce what his second brother and Qi Changjai have said. The disaster situation in the place he went to is not too serious. In serious places, the local people did not have time to retreat, and were engulfed by the sea beasts that rushed up. This time, there was no sign of the beast tide at all, and they were caught off guard by Tianhaimen, causing heavy casualties among the coastal people. The market town he protected was of course more severely damaged than Yuzong's side, but because of the direct impact of the sea beasts, there were many more disciples sent to protect the local people, and the foundation building cultivators were always available, so the situation was slightly better. Some disciples also voluntarily go to places where the situation is serious. Although it is dangerous, the final benefit will be much greater than that of Yuzong. After listening to it, Guyao said that the current need for medicinal pills is not that big, so they should go to join senior brother Zhang and his party. They came out mainly for Lilian, not just sitting at the back and enjoying the protection of others. Tian Fiyang was a little hesitant. He had to report this matter to the senior management. He could imagine that the sect master and elder must have been anxious when he heard that Guyao was going to the front line, but he also learned from his second brother that Guyao is not someone who blindly practices alchemy and ignores his own training. I think Guyao, the ancestral land of the Shi family, didn't go in and break in. I'll go and ask for instructions first, you wait. Guyao had no objection. Tian Fiyang hurried away again, while Guyao ate and drank a lot, and it was quite boring to alchemy without stopping. As Tian Fiyang thought, when the door owner and the elders heard that Guyao was going to kill the sea beasts on the front line, their first reaction was to object, and after they calmed down, they realized that they had no power to stop them, and that Guyao did not belong to heaven. Hyman's disciple, since Tianfu Academy released him, there is no restriction on his actions. But still hesitant in my heart, I have never seen an alchemist take the initiative to ask to participate in the battle on the battlefield, not to mention such a talented alchemist, one who can match the efficiency of several in the door. Tian Fiyang is on the side of Guyao, the sect master. The sect master next to Gu alchemist is very strong. With them, the safety of Gu alchemist should be guaranteed, especially Qi Changjai is a sword cultivator in the later stage of foundation building. Disciple, I thought he was the best protector of the ancient alchemist. Even if we sent someone to protect it, it might not be worth the long night. Will decline. When he knew Qi Changjai's true strength, Tian Fei Yang really dragged his chin with both hands, which was really shocking. After hesitating, the sect master had to say, "Forget it, Fei Yang, you lead a few disciples to follow the ancient alchemist, and protect the safety of the ancient alchemist at the critical moment." "Yes, the sect master," the disciple retire. Tian Fei Yang took the task and brought a few disciples from the sect, and then sent out to the front line with Guyao. After they left Tian Haiman and other monks who came to support, they did not have any objections. They even thought that Guyao was making a fool of himself. Didn't he go to the front line to cause confusion? Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 118. At present, the monks who come to help have a meeting place, which is Tianshuifang City, which is close to the sea. Originally, this place is close to the sea. Although the sea is dangerous, all kinds of resources are also very rich, so it attracts a lot of loose cultivators and outgoing people. The monks who practiced came here, so the Tianshuifang city that formed spontaneously was not small, and it was quite lively at ordinary times. Because of the attack of the sea beasts, the flow of people in Tianshuifang city has exploded. Those who exchange materials, take a break, and businesses who are interested in the business opportunities here have all come from all over the place, and because of the popularity, the sea beasts feel that it is a tough nut to crack. The bones will not attack here head-on for the time being. On the way to Tianshuifang city, there was movement in the spirit beast bag on Guyao's body. It was the cat who had been sleeping for a long time and woke up. Guyao quickly released it, otherwise the spirit beast bag might not be able to withstand its destruction. "I slept in this sleep for a full year, not to mention that I used to be noisy in front of my eyes, but I am not used to it after suddenly leaving it." Guyao and Qi Changjai guessed that the reason why it would fall asleep should be to try to digest and swallow the thing that went in. As for that thing, the two of them tacitly did not mention it. "This little brat is finally awake." Qi Changjai heard the movement and looked over, stretched out his hand to pick up the little guy, and looked left and right. "I didn't see any change, it's still so small." "Meow meow meow." The cat cub didn't expect this kind of treatment as soon as he woke up, and waved his paws at Qi Changjai angrily. Guyao hurriedly grabbed it and patted Qi Changjai's hand to avenge his own cub. The cat cub gave Qi Changjai a proud look, and then held Guyao's hand and meowed. Guyao heard a tender voice in his mind. The voice is calling to eat, to be hungry, to eat. Guyao was first surprised and then delighted. Needless to say, this voice belonged to a cat. The first time he heard it, it was quite unexpected. He quickly took out the spirit fruit, spirit rice, and dried meat from the storage bag, and the cat purred. He rushed over happily and plunged his head into the middle of the lingua rice ball. Looking at such a small head, he could swallow the whole rice ball in one bite, and his belly did not bulge. "Yeah, the cat is awake." Tian Firong also found the cat when he heard the movement. He came over happily and took out some of the dry food and spirit fruit he brought with him. After this little thing was missing this year, what did he think he was missing? Not used to it? Tian Fei Yang didn't care about this little thing at first, it looked like he was keeping it for fun. With Qi Changjai around like Guyao, he didn't need a powerful spiritual pet. Many girls like to keep some appearances. A lovable spiritual pet, he subconsciously classified Guyao into this category. However, when he saw that the cat had swept away all the food, and his belly still did not change much, then he held a pill bottle that Guyao took out, and began to drop the pills. Tian Fei Yang was shocked. The expression couldn't hold back anymore. This spirit beast couldn't be simple at all. If it was replaced by another spirit pet that was kept and played with, it would have exploded and died long ago. Looking at the medicinal pill again, the light and spiritual energy is very abundant. He is sure that it is a high-grade medicinal pill, and the quality is no less than the top grade. he is eaten by this little guy like a candy pill, and he is not afraid of one pill after another. He couldn't digest it, and it made him jealous. This spirit beast is not something that ordinary people can afford. How many spirit stones are needed to drink a bottle of medicinal herbs? Ordinary cultivators have already gone bankrupt. However, Tianfirong was happy to see his eldest brother, and told him about the abomination of the cat. This kitten is extremely intelligent. It didn't take long to arrive at Tianshuifang City and named it Tianshui First Line. Gu Yao didn't want to disturb too many people, so he only informed senior brother Zhang and the others, because he wanted to join them, but he couldn't stop Tian Haiman from flying with Tian. The action of the disciple, so when he first landed at the entrance of Tianshuifang City, he saw the people who were already waiting there. The other monks who came in and out were also curious. With so many monks gathered at the entrance, what kind of big man were they waiting for? There are Tianfu Academy, Tian Haiman, and there are monks from the Shifang City Lord's Mansion in the crowd. This lineup is definitely for big people. This time, Tianfu Academy relied on Zhang Yan and his party to make a lot of reputation. They showed amazing combat effectiveness in the battle against the sea beasts. They entered and exited the sea beasts a few times, killing the other party with heavy casualties. I thought that Tianfu Academy was a garbage shelter, and those students were Lingxi and nothing else, but this time I found that I had misunderstood. Tianfu Academy can also train masters. Those who know the names of Zhang Yan, Liqius Hung and others do not think it is different. Tianfu Academy has stood on the Tianlin continent for so many years. Although the general qualifications of the monks recruited are not good, they can still produce some capable people. Focusing on training is not necessarily worse than the inner disciples of other sects. Liqius Hung, who was baptized by everyone's eyes, didn't care at all, he only cared about one thing, senior brother. What are the people from the city lord's mansion coming to mix? What does junior brother Gu have to do with them? Liqius Hung had never had a very good impression of the city lord's mansion in Shifang City. This was the intuition of a warrior who often charged into battle. Zhang Yan sighed and said, it should be the news that leaked from Tian Haiman, and the disciples of Tian Haiman probably can't do anything about it. After the elder he of Shifang City comes, the landlord of Tian Haiman will also give way. Who made the Shifang City Lord's Mansion have a high status on the Tianlin continent? Of course, the real threat to the cultivators in the Tianlin continent is the Changxianmen behind the city lord's mansion. Changxianmen can easily send a Jindan cultivator. There must be people with higher cultivation in the door. How dare the monks in Tianlin continent dare to act rashly? Humph, an immortal thing, Liqius Hung snorted coldly, but luckily he still knew the occasion. This voice was transmitted to Zhang Yan with divine sense, and only Zhang Yan could hear it, so he couldn't help rubbing Lu Qiasheng's head. Brother Qi, they are here. Zhang Yan's words immediately drew Lu Qiasheng's attention back, and when he looked up, he saw Gu Yao and the others, and they ran out first, waving as they ran. Junior brother Gu, you are finally here. I thought you were going to take root in Tian Haiman. It's over. Running close, Gu Yao gave him a fist. I didn't say I came here when I was done. It's very lively here. Scanning a circle, you can find that it is different from other places. Many people have been fighting against sea beasts, and they have a bit of slaughter and blood on their bodies. Of course, some people are very clean and obviously have not fought. The little fat man's eyes were also a little sharper. It can be seen that he has participated in the battle a lot these days. He was very happy to see Gu Yao and Tianfirong, and unexpectedly revealed the existence of the cat, and took out a few from the sea beast. Neodon, the cat cub doesn't know what politeness is, and with a wave of his little paw, he accepts it all. The other two people also came later. Tianfi Yang naturally recognized his family, but he was a little surprised to welcome Elder He from the city lord's mansion in person, and was a little worried about Gu Yao, but for the time being, he could only press the button to communicate with the sect who came. Greetings to the elders. When Luch Yuzhong called out junior brother Little Gu, some of the monks onlookers guessed his identity. That can't be the alchemist Gu Yao who came from Tianfu College with Zhang Yan and his party. I heard that they encountered a beast horde that attacked the market town on the way, and they also rescued a group of people in the market town. He shouldn't be in the sky. How did Hyman Li come to Tianchuifang City? It's really him. I'm not mistaken, he looks really young. He has only practiced for a few years, and is the alchemy technique so high? Isn't it exaggerated? I heard that people are busy concocting pills for Tian Hyman as soon as they enter Tian Hyman. I admire him for this kindness and righteousness. I heard that people in Tian Hyman are crazy, and the pills handed out by the ancient alchemist are almost all high-grade pills. And there are so many, if it weren't for this beast tide, the disciples of Tian Hyman might not have the chance to get such a good medicine pill. The discussion was buzzing, and there was some belief in Gu Yao's reputation, but the news that Gu Yao came to Tianchuifang City spread quickly. Many cultivators are gearing up to find a good alchemist here to help with alchemy, which is more difficult than other places, because few alchemists are willing to come to the front line of this beast tide, and the elixirs sold by those merchants are more expensive than usual. There are more, but no matter how expensive it is, some people will buy it. After all, the supply is far less than the demand, so they decided to look for every opportunity to hook up with Gu Yao. There are still many people who regret it. They knew that Gu Yao would come to Tianchuifang City, so they seized the opportunity to have a good relationship with the people of Tianfu College, instead of having the mentality of watching the fun before, thinking that these people from Tianfu College would make a fool of yourself, maybe you will lose your life under the beast tide, but I didn't expect them to make a name for themselves. Seeing that even Elder He of the City Lord's mansion has passed by, I'm afraid it will be difficult to get close to Gu Yao. You are the alchemist Gu Yao from Tianfu College? This is the enshrined Elder He of the Shifang City Lord's mansion. Please follow us to the place where the City Lord's mansion is staying. A young female cultivator beside Elder He raised her chin slightly. Gu Yao said. Gu Yao looked at Zhang Yan suspiciously, and asked, Senior brother, do you live in the place where the City Lord's mansion is located? Luch Yuzhong was originally unhappy. Where does Gu Yao want to live? The people of the City Lord's mansion intervened, but now he heard Gu Yao's question, he almost burst into laughter. Zhang Yan replied with a smile, no, we use Tianfu in the name of the college, we rented a yard alone, Gu Yao lives with us. Of course, I'm a member of Tianfu Academy. What would it be like to live apart from you? I don't want special treatment, Gu Yao said with a natural tone. No, the young female cultivator didn't expect this result at all. Shouldn't Gu Yao be proud of being invited by the City Lord's mansion? What kind of development rhythm is this? Wait, Gu Alchemist, I hope you will think about it carefully. Our City Master's mansion hopes that the ancient alchemist can accept the unified scheduling of the City Master's mansion, and make a contribution to the monks who participated in the resistance to the beast tide. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 119. Zhang Yan said with a faint smile, Gu Yao is a member of our Tianfu Academy. There is no problem with living with us. We respect Gu Yao's decision, and this action should not be a compulsory recruitment, right? Gu Yao didn't want to, of course he didn't want Gu Yao to live in the site of the City Lord's mansion. He could completely imagine what kind of situation Gu Yao would face when he moved in. In fact, he was also thinking about the City Lord's mansion. Qi Changjai's temperament is not easy to provoke. If they do too much, I'm afraid they will not be able to end it in the end. He was so kind. The elder He paid more attention to Qi Changjai. When Qi Changjai came out to make an appearance, the news of him becoming a sword cultivator in the late stage of foundation building also spread. It is inevitable that how many people admire and yearn for such a powerful sword cultivator. This will cause some people's jealousy, and Elder He Yuhao is also in this ranks, but Chi Changjai has been keeping his eyes slightly down, his attitude is indifferent, and it seems that he is not affected by the outside world at all, making Elder He unpredictable. At this time, he heard that Gu Yao refused to accept the call of the city lord's mansion, and Zhang Yan refused on behalf of Tianfu College, making him hold the beard's hand for a while, and looked at Gu Yao himself with a slightly unkind look. Little friend really decided so. Gu Yao smirked and said, in addition to being an alchemist, I'm also a famous cultivator. I am willing to fight against the sea beasts with all of you. I will repel the sea beasts as soon as possible, and return the peace to my Tianlin continent no weaker than the female cultivator who suppressed Gu Yao with righteousness. Lu Qiu's Hung almost burst into laughter, and the others twitched their lips, especially those who knew Gu Yao, who knew that he was a good person and a very humble person, so it was hard to imagine him saying such a righteousness in public. Now, he said so the only possibility is that he did it on purpose. But the onlookers who were not familiar with him were at this moment aroused by these words with a sense of justice and a raging fighting spirit in their hearts. Before, they were almost deviated by the meaning of the city lord's mansion, but after thinking about it carefully, Gu Yao himself was in. Coming to the front line of the battle at this particularly sensitive time is enough to represent his position. Okay. Then let's wait for the good news from the ancient alchemist, Elder He said while holding back his anger, and then he walked away. He came in person, not for Gu Yao. But it was still a Qi refining cultivator, and let him be greeted by a consecrated elder of the city lord's mansion? Let's talk about it when he reaches the level of Lord Hugu. What he really wants to see is Chi Changjai. Watching the city lord's mansion and his party leave, the crowd buzzing again, Lu Qiu's Hung gloated. Junior brother Gu, you have offended the city lord's mansion. Gu Yao blinked, offended? Because I didn't live in the city lord's mansion? But does it make any difference? Besides, the city lord's mansion has a small chest like you said. Bah, Lu Qiu's Hung was stunned for a moment and then spit out angrily, this kid must have done it on purpose. With a soft smile in Chi Changjai's eyes, he brushed Gu Yao's palm with one hand and said, Xiao Ao just needs to do things according to his own mind, let's go to the market. Okay, Gu Yao smiled brightly. Blinding the dog's eyes, this is Lu Qiusheng's idea. Gu Yao is going to go back with Zhang Yan and the others. The Tianhaimen elder who watched this passing by frowned slightly and said to Tianfi Yang, you go with the ancient alchemist and protect the safety of the ancient alchemist. Yes, Elder Tianfi Yang wished to spend more time with his younger brother, so he cupped his hands and took the people who came out with him and quickly followed Gu Yao and his party who left. Elder. The disciple next to him looked at the elder of Tianhaimen worriedly, whether this would offend the city. The main mansion? The elder sighed and said, Master Gu came to help us in Tianhaimen, how can we avenge our revenge? Besides, he glanced at the disciples around him, compared with the people from the city lord's mansion, they all came here the same way, it's Gu Dan. Did the teacher do more or the people in the city lord's mansion did more? Before Gu Yao and his party arrived at Tianhaimen, they first rescued a group of people and several Tianhaimen disciples from the beast-tide attack town. After arriving at Tianhaimen, they refined a batch of quantities for Tianhaimen without any delay. There are quite a few high-quality medicinal pills. Just after they came out of Tianhaimen, the people from the city lord's mansion heard the news, and they dared to use the righteousness to suppress Gu Yao. In his opinion, it was extremely ridiculous. The disciple moved his mouth but didn't say anything. He knew that the elder was in a bad mood. After the people from the city lord's mansion came over, they turned their backs on the guests. This made the elder's work not smooth, and he was obstructed a lot when it comes to the battle against sea beasts. Which sect is there? Experience richer than Tianhaimen? But the city lord's mansion is powerful, what can they do? Offending the city lord's mansion, can there be a good result? The city lord's mansion that returned was furious, and the female cultivator who invited Guyao was called Ruanzinhui was the most angry. In her opinion, Guyao just didn't give her face, causing her to embarrass herself in front of so many people. From childhood to adulthood, when had she been so humiliated? Because she was born in the city lord's mansion, she is a sought-after character wherever she goes. Uncle He, what kind of thing is this surnamed Gu that dares to ignore our city lord's mansion? As long as our city lord's mansion gives an order, he will still have a place to go in Lin continent in the future. Ruanzinhui's first thought was to ask for Gu. Yao Yao learned a lesson and let him know the power of the city lord's mansion. Miss Ruan, don't get angry, this kind of villain is not worth Miss Ruan's fight for him. If the lady is really unhappy, you don't have to use the city lord's mansion order, just a few of us can make him fall. Guyao is not righteous. Ling Ran, speaking of participating in the battle with sea beasts, accidents are most likely to occur during the battle, and a little carelessness will lead to the death of the bones. These words made Ruanzinhui's self-esteem somewhat better. Miss Ruan is still sought after by others, and she has countless ministers under her skirt, but even a small alchemist dares to take Joe with her. At this time, Elder He said aloud, don't act rashly. If it is discovered, will the reputation of our city lord's mansion still be lost? The more this is the case, the less likely there is such a situation of smearing suspicion in the city lord's mansion. If the person who exposed the city lord's mansion is plotting other monks behind his back, especially Guyao, a well-known alchemist, the reputation of the city lord's mansion will plummet immediately. The male cultivator froze at first, then relaxed again. Elder He, I know what to do, and I will never let the reputation of the city lord's mansion get any bad. It's too simple. Guyao stayed at the temporary residence of Tianfu College, and the scene that happened at the entrance quickly spread throughout the market, and even spread outside, making Guyao a hot topic among the monks in their spare time. Two distinct views emerged. There are those who admire Guyao even more. He has participated in a battle with the monks of the same college on the way here, saved the people of the town and the monks there, and made a batch of medicinal pills for Tianhaimen after arriving at Tianhaimen. These things are not secret, it has long been spread when his news spread here, and after seeing him finish alchemy and rush here without stopping, what is not worthy of admiration for such an alchemist? In particular, the disciples of Tianhaimen were very grateful to Guyao after knowing what he had done. But some people think that he doesn't know the good and the bad, and he doesn't even give the face of the city lord's mansion. He is so proud before he builds a foundation. His eyes are higher than the top, and the city lord's mansion is not in his eyes, and a Dan like him. Master, shouldn't we focus on alchemy at this moment? Do you know how much the monks participating in the battle are lacking in medicine pills? There are also many cultivators who delayed the treatment due to lack of medicinal pills and died, but he would rather leave the medicinal pills unrefined and participate in some battles. How much combat power can he exert as an alchemist? Maybe you will have to drag other colleagues back when you are on the battlefield. Can you be a little self-aware? The second kind of remarks spread more and more widely. Lu Qiu's Hung, who went out for a circle, came back angrily. If it wasn't for others to stop him, he would have fought with those slobbering people who were persecuting them. When Guyao, did you see how much you did? Their behavior is like putting Guyao on the fire and roasting. There are so many alchemists, why are they all directed at Guyao? Why didn't they scold those alchemists who refused to even come to the front line? It's not that Guyao and Tianfu College are easy to bully. Ruanzinhui didn't tell the monks who came back from Fangxi about the situation outside, especially the ping attack against Guyao. She smiled with satisfaction. She was in a fit of rage at the time. In fact, it was not easy to deal with such a young monk who had no foundation. Ruined his reputation and then, send more people to watch their movements, and Miss Ben will teach them to be good. Yes, Miss Ruan. Green Smoke Valley. Huguzu has been paying attention to the situation on the Tianhaimen side, especially after hearing that Guyao and the people around him have followed, so he can receive it in time when there is a situation there. Is this someone deliberately making things difficult for Gu Alchemist? Are you sure who did it? Is it related to the City Lord's mansion? Even if he doesn't have much scheming and doesn't know much about the twists and turns, Guyao pushed the invitation of the City Lord's mansion. The back foot was slammed, saying that the two were not related at all, and even if the results of the investigation did not indicate the relationship between the two, Huguzu would still believe that it was inseparable from the City Lord's mansion. Hugu still doesn't have much time to manage the trivial chores of Qian Valley, but this time he has found someone who is not too involved with the forces in the valley, and he will no longer trust others as completely as before. He will ask questions regularly. Just a moment, so as not to be fooled by the people below. I also think it's very possible, this person echoed Huguzu's opinion. Alchemist Guyao probably also realized that once he was invited into the City Lord's mansion, he could only make pills all day and couldn't leave the City's Lord's mansion. All the pills he made went into the hands of the City Lord's mansion. In the end, the cultivators outside did not know how many of them were left, and they had to take them out to buy their reputation. All the benefits belonged to the City Lord's mansion. Guyao, the alchemist who stays in the City Lord's mansion without stopping to make alchemy. Yeah, everyone understands this truth, but who makes the City Lord's mansion powerful and understands that alchemist Guyao offended the City Lord's mansion? There are bound to be some people who won't speak up for him, but will help fuel the flames behind him. Go on, and I will personally lead the way. A group of alchemists came over, pack up, and set off immediately. The subordinates were stunned for a moment, but they immediately received the order to prepare for the trip. If the owner of the valley hurried to Tianchuifang City in person, Guyao would not be left on the cusp of the storm. The people in the city owner's mansion would not dare to treat Gu with such an attitude. Lords. However, Guyao's attitude towards alchemist Guyao is too good. As soon as he hears that alchemist Guyao has been wronged, he should rush over immediately. As long as the owner of the valley shows up, he will also know that the alchemist Guyao will meet. Get out of trouble now. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 120. Huguzu arrived halfway with the alchemist of Yankui Valley, and received a message from Tianchuifang City. After reading the content of the communication, Huguzu breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the way of the City Lord's mansion is also unpopular. Guyao's the situation was not as bad as he thought. He is optimistic about Guyao's alchemy technique, and he doesn't want him to be suppressed by the City Lord's mansion, nor does he want him to have a bad reputation and become a stain in the future. At the same time, he is worried that his grandson will be implicated. When the situation arises, it is decided to go to support Tianchuifang City. The streets and alleys were still controversial because of Guyao's actions, but soon, a voice gradually came out from the monks. Those who wantonly criticized Guyao and dissatisfied with his actions, why didn't they criticize the merchants and raise the price of the medicine pills so high? Why didn't they go to Pingjian City Lord's mansion and the alchemists of other forces without even showing up? How many alchemy did they refine for the alchemists fighting on the front line? Those people will only attack Guyao when they are angry. It's not because Guyao's backstage is not big, and the persimmons are soft to pinch. Some people also listed the merchants that sold the highest price of medicinal pills. Unfortunately, Duobao Pavilion ranked first, and the people in Duobao Pavilion were arrogant and looked down on ordinary monks, and they didn't know it on the first day. The cultivator was scolded as a poor ghost, and the power behind this Duobao Pavilion is probably not many people who do not know. So, should the power of the City Lord's mansion do its best to the cultivators on the front line? If someone talks about Guyao again, accusing him of not taking the lives of the monks who fought against the sea beasts seriously, Someone will bring out the Duobeo Pavilion. If they have the ability to let Duobeo Pavilion sell the medicinal pills at a lower price, they will definitely help and scold Gu together. Harika, ask him if he dares. And which sect do you belong to? What about your sect's alchemist? Why didn't you call him over or make some medicine pills and send him over? As a result, Gu Yao's censure gradually weakened, and everyone no longer aimed their guns at him. Gu Yao, who was about to set off to strangle the sea beasts, heard the situation in Fangxi, blinked his eyes and asked, could it be that senior brother Zhang did it? It was obvious that someone was pushing it behind the scenes, otherwise the public opinion would have been reversed so quickly, and the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce also had a point here, but outsiders didn't know it, and the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce was making a fortune in silence. Zhang Yan glanced at Qi Changjai with a smile, and said, forget it, this city lord's mansion's approach is too much, and Gu Yao, you are a member of our Tianfu Academy, and you came out with us in a team to maintain your reputation is deserved and necessary, as long as you are not affected by Gu Yao. This is what he is worried about, and it is also what Qi Changjai is worried about, so Qi Changjai came to him with Gu Yao behind his back, and reversed the public opinion outside as soon as possible. Taste this, although they can't shake the status of the city lord's mansion, but they can still be disgusted. Zhang Yan didn't do much, just let the people from the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce and Tianfu College sneak into various places in Fangxi under different identities. Compared with Gu Yao's alchemy at the moment, the elixirs in those shops are ready-made, and he would rather hoard them than sell them at a reduced price. Do those merchants dare to say that there are not many pills left in their hands? Even if there are not many, they will organize manpower to transport them from the inland, which is faster than Gu Yao's on-site alchemy with personal strength. Sure enough, after a little guidance, the discussions outside became agitated. Fortunately, Gu Yao was not greatly affected, which made Zhang Yan very happy. Gu Yao's current achievements were not accidental, and his temperament was very good. It's all right, who can't be told? As long as you stand high enough, those words will disappear automatically. Gu Yao waved his hands carelessly. It's not that you haven't experienced these things. When you stand high enough, some people are chasing after you, but once again, Gu Yao is calm and composed, and his mood will not be too much ups and downs. Yes. Well said, Lu Qiu's Hung slapped Gu Yao on the shoulder abruptly. These words fit his temper too well. The people who attacked Gu Yao outside were actually a lot of people with sore eyes and jealousy. Go, let's set off, let junior brother Gu Yu see my prestige. Gu Yao couldn't help laughing, he didn't know Lu Qiusheng's battle, didn't he see senior brother Lu himself in Ganggu town before? The group left Tianshuifang city after talking and laughing. On the way, people would say hello to Zhang Yan and Gu Yao from time to time. Really smart people would not follow the trend, and who offended Gu Yao to find alchemy. Although most medicinal pills can be bought with only spirit stones, high-grade pills may not be obtained without spirit stones, so the benefits of making friends with Gu Yao are even greater. Even if he was really forced to enter the city lord's mansion to concoct pills, could those pills fall into the hands of those cultivators who were slamming? Dreaming too. Gu Yao also responded to the person who greeted him with a good temper. The little black cat squatting on his shoulder attracted the attention of many people. Anyone who saw this line of business went out of the market. Needless to say, the destination was the front line of fighting the sea beasts, so the original those who wanted to rest immediately set off, and after Gu Yao and his party disappeared, several teams ran out of the city one after another. Some of these people went for the purpose of getting acquainted with Gu Yao. Maybe they would help in times of crisis. Wouldn't they have gotten this favor? I believe how powerful an alchemist Gu Yao can be. I just want to see if he will hold back his teammates. There is another team, with ulterior motives. Not long after Gu Yao and the others left, they quietly followed. Ruan Xinhui's mood became very bad again in the city lord's mansion. She was very happy at the beginning of the criticism of Guyao, but she wanted to see if Guyao could maintain a normal heart after causing public anger, but she didn't expect this. It didn't take long for the fire to burn on the head of Duobao Pavilion, so annoyed that she smashed the cup in her hand. Those poor ghosts, don't buy medicine pills without spirit stones. I think they are also dead prematurely, Ruan Xinhui said disdainfully, and wanted to force Duobao Pavilion to lower the price. Think beautifully. If you have the ability, don't go to the Duobao Pavilion to buy it. Typical double standard. Where's Guyaran? Where is he hiding? Didn't he say he went out to kill sea beasts? After all, he's still a coward, Ruan Xinhui scolded. Miss, was scolding, someone came in and reported, I just saw that Tianfu College and Guyao's gang left the market, and those people also followed, miss, just wait for the good news. Ruan Xinhui immediately felt refreshed, as if drinking a cup of iced tea in a hot summer day. She said, haha, Miss Ben will see if he comes back alive. Who asked him to fight with Miss Ben? Elder he also received the news and squinted coldly. Too many geniuses are not a good thing. He asked people to pick them up. Nearly Qi Changjai persuaded him to join the city lord's mansion, and hinted that he could go to Changxianmen after making a certain contribution, but it didn't work at all. Is this person incomprehensible or pretending to be deaf and dumb? Compared with Guyao, he felt that Qi Changjai was a greater threat. Now most people focus on Guyao, but ignore Qi Changjai. This is not a good thing, and the city owner does not like this kind of being out of control. Condition. Judging from the bone age, it's in his 20s at most. The golden core in his 20s is placed in Changxianmen, and he is also an outstanding genius. Thinking of his own situation, Elder He's eyes flashed a touch of jealousy. Two talented people always make people feel uneasy. In fact, Qi Changjai is gone, so what kind of climate can Guyao become? How much self-preservation power can an alchemist have? One day later, Guyao and his party rushed to one of the strongholds. Just before they set off, an urgent message was sent from here, and there were sea beasts attacking, so they rushed here. Looking down from the top, Rao is Guyao, who has seen the Zerg invasion scene, and he gasps when he sees that the dense sea beasts are mixed together. The salty smell is mixed with the stench. The scene is hard to describe, maybe people with weak minds seeing such a scene. I was smoked by the unpleasant smell, I was afraid that my legs would feel weak and I wanted to leave. Seeing that Guyao just took a deep breath and didn't show any other strangeness, Qi Changjai calmed down and whispered, there are a lot of people following, and their goals may not be the same, so be careful. Even if he was watching, he hoped that Guyao would be more vigilant. He didn't want to see Guyao suffer any harm. Guyao glanced back, and there were several strands of breath behind him. Of course he could sense it, among them there was a malicious aura, a coldness flashed in his eyes, but when he looked at Qi Changjai, he said with a smile, yeah, don't worry, big brother, I will protect myself first, and then go to hunt the sea beasts. Well, Qi Changjai nodded, not thinking that such an idea was wrong. The road was difficult, but first of all, you had to live to have the opportunity to advance. And he felt that it would be much more pleasant and relaxed to have Guyao on the road. It would be nice if Guyao thought the same as him. All kinds of spiritual lights flickered below, and there were already monks who came first to hunt down monsters. Zhang Yan had experience, looked around, pointed to a place below and said, let's go there, use that as a stronghold, and gradually move forward and clean up the sea beasts. Okay, let's listen to senior brother Zhang, others echoed. The location is high, the field of vision is wide, and there is no need to worry about being suddenly attacked by sea beasts. Pedestrians stepped on the magic weapon and flew downward. Before they landed, various attacks were sent out, because the high ground was already occupied by sea beasts, and they had to take it back first. After a while of rumbling, Guyao saw a hard-shelled crab-like sea beast below. It was blasted to the point of breaking its claws, but the two big claws were still waving in the air. Immediately, a sword energy with a thunderous sound descended, and the sea beast was immediately split into two neat halves, and even the other sea beasts around it were affected, and a large number of them died. The cultivator of Tianfu Academy who had seen Qi Changai's attack was fine, but the disciple of Tian Haiman who had never seen it was dumbfounded and almost forgot to continue the attack. After a while, this high spot was cleaned up, but the smell was still unpleasant. Several monks took action to deal with it, pouring water into the fire, and taking out the useful parts of the sea beast's corpse, and the other fire burned out.